Go where your best prayers take you. Unclench the fists of your spirit and take it easy. Breathe deeply of the glad air and live one day at a time. Know that you are precious and learn to trust. Amen. Well, good morning to everyone and happy Mother's Day. I look out and see so many faces that were at the Episcopal School fundraiser last night. Thank you for your attendance on behalf of Jay, and it was a great event, a lot of money raised and a lot of great spirit. And that's a big day for your family. I hope you have a wonderful day. Chris started a bad trend last week by kind of confessing something in his sermon, so I think I'll keep it going. This is for all the young fathers, and this is from my bad experience. Do not play golf on Mother's Day. Still makes me jump just a little bit. I promise if you could see Lois, she is not smiling right now. Not a good memory, but anyway. I have a great story for you. I heard a young guy that tell a story named Kevin. He just had a baby. They've been so excited about it and everything they hoped for. And so baby Sally comes, and it is so magic. And then the magic ends because you know what? They're staying up all night, and she is crying and screaming. But he steps to the plate and does the right thing and says he'd take the night duty and let his wife sleep. So he started out doing that. He does the rocking and the walking and the cuddling and the holding and everything he can think of to try to get Sally to sleep. Nothing works, so day turns to day. He gets more tired. Then he reads about something I've never heard of, this infant massage. Some of you know about that anyway. So he did this infant massage with his little girl, rubbing her back and her arms, her head and legs. And actually, she would relax marvelously. And as soon as he'd tiptoe out of the room, she'd start screaming again. So, I've been there. Some of you have. I did this twice for weeks. But there's this point. Then finally, Sally started sleeping one night just magically. And it was just wonderful. And so the next night when she woke up, he knew just what to do. She went right back to sleep. And he's thinking, oh, this is so great. And then at 3 a.m, he is awakened, wide awake. But it's not Sally screaming or crying. It's his wife. Kevin, wake up, wake up. Go check Sally. See why she is not crying. True story. I think I've been there, done that too. But anyway, moms are moms because they are connected to their children. Viscerally connected. And it starts right out of the gate. And and I think because of that, moms are, yes, kind of hyper vigilant. Probably at the beginning, maybe for a very long time, maybe forever, I don't know. Because the power of the love of a mother for her children, well, I don't think there's anything stronger. I've really spent a lot of time about this. Rather than the toss-off, all the kind of cute things we do, I've really been thinking about mothers for a couple of weeks. Moms are tied to their children in ways that dads are not. Initially by that umbilical cord, yes, but then afterward in a different way. And I think it begins at the beginning, and it probably does last a lifetime. So naturally, most moms are a little overprotective. Most moms, regardless of what you've done, how you've acted, moms are on your side. They are in your corner. Regardless of whether you did it or didn't do it, maybe. I learned this lesson again, I think we all did, the bombings in Boston. There's 2 young men who were given asylum in the United States, and then just this horrific thing toward the United States and the people of Boston and these people they injured. When their mother, 9,000 miles away, heard what they've done, do you remember her reaction? Instantly, she said, couldn't have been my boys. You have the wrong people. Or they've been framed. The American government has done something and put them in this place. I got it. She is a mother. She is a mother. In the face of all the evidence, she is in their corner. And there's nothing wrong, or there's nothing that speaks, I think, more strongly, to us than the pictures we have in our minds. For me, it's the pictures around our house of mom holding the boys. I bet that's true in your house. Or the generational pictures, your own, of you being held. And think about the church. We do that in the church as well. Think about our imagination as we imagine Mary holding the baby Jesus. And those pictures are all around us and have been from the beginning. And think how long that lasts in the story, even to the end of Mary holding her son at the very end. There is nothing as strong as the bond of the love of a mother. There is nothing as tender as a mother's love for her child. But let me try to say that in a different way. I want to think of tender with you in a different way. I don't mean tender as only soft and nurturing, but tender in this way, that a tender bond is one that is like a tender shoot that is forever green, forever growing, forever kind of full of energy and life. Do you catch that? It never grows old. That's why we have that old saying, God could not be everywhere, so he invented mothers. Giving, spreading God's love. But mothers are not just tender, are they? Not by a long shot. Do you remember Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross? She is the woman who really helped us in a new kind of visioning way understand the process of dying, death and dying. And when she was doing her research, she was in a particular hospital, and she would go and sit endlessly with patients who are chronically ill to terminally ill and ask them questions, get feedback, look at the data. She was really a researcher, really trying to understand, instead of what am I feeling, what am I seeing? What am I observing? But one of the things she really did do was to listen and observe. And she picked up on something so small that began to bother her in her research. And it was this: the patients that she visited that seemed to do better, that seemed to be more calm, more tranquil, more kind of together, more peaceful, their rooms were cleaner. Their rooms were clean. The floor was mopped and swept. Everything was bright and spiffy, put away. Everything neat. And for the life of her, she's a scientist. She could not make the connection. So she did what she does well. She observed. And what she realized after a couple of weeks is that in those rooms that were so neat and clean, there was a particular person who cleaned them. The same woman was visiting each of those rooms from the housekeeping staff. So she went and found her. And she said, I'm Dr. Kubler-Ross, I'm doing this research. And she said, you clean rooms on this ward and this ward. She said, can I ask you a question? She said, what are you doing with my patients? Well, the woman was taken back. She thought she was in trouble. I'm not doing that. I'm just doing my job. She said, no, I'm not scolding. I really want to know, what are you doing when you go in and clean the rooms? Brilliant. She said, well, doctor, she said, I am doing my job. She said, absolutely. The rooms are absolutely wonderful. But she said kind of hesitantly, well, okay, I talk to them. I talk to them because I know how ill they are, and I know some are dying. Doctor, I had 2 babies that died. Both lived several months. One lived almost a year. And I can still picture myself. I can still feel myself holding those 2 babies. I will never forget that. And through all of that, I discovered that I was tough and strong and that I could survive. I found something deep within me. I think I found God. And so I tell the people I visit that they are not alone, that they have not been abandoned, that God is with them, and that He will help them when they are afraid. See, loving in the way a mom loves means something different when you really slow down. So I want you to really slow the engines down. When you give your heart, when you really give your soul, When you give your entire being to another person, you see that picture? I think that's what I kind of stumbled on the last couple of weeks, wondering in a way why I had never seen it so deeply. Maybe it's just not quite apparent. See, moms are tender, but they are also tough. See, that tender love with that tough love is very powerful. That tender love with that tough love is very powerful. And it's the love that all of us really need. We need tender and we need tough. See, it's a love that never leaves us, absolutely accepts us, always supports us. But it is also a love that is strong and enables us to be strong for life, which is equally important. You know, you don't have to be a mom to act like a mom. What our world now shows us is all kind of people and families have all kind of configurations. So I want you to include yourself in and not include yourself out this morning. You know, holding that tender and tough is a tough balance. It's not easy. Sometimes I think I often took that tender and tough in my own way. I misinterpreted it. So kind of spend some time. Maybe spend a little time in your past. I sure have. And I'm seeing some things I've never seen before. You see, we need that blend. We really do. And lots of people act for moms in our life. Lots of people. It can be males, females, people, an aunt, an uncle, someone who loved you in school, a teacher, all kind of people. There's a young man who had gotten out of the Army and started looking for work. This is some years ago, and just wore himself out looking for a job and could not get one. He thought he knew why, and it really bothered him why. And so he went, he thought, kind of under his rope, he went to the Miller Candy Company. And the man who interviewed was actually the owner of the company, Mr. Miller. And so he went for the interview, and Mr. Miller asked him, he said, so now, son, you know, why do you want a job with us? And it took him a long time to answer because he's a stutterer and a very bad one. He could barely get out his words. And when he was nervous, it was even worse. And finally, he kind of said, because I need the money. Mr. Miller wouldn't leave it at that. He said, you know, son, there's got to be more reasons. He said, I know you need the money. Everybody needs a job. He said, let's start again. He said, I'm not going to let you off. He said, why do you need a job? And he kept coaching him. He said, well, tell me about your family. Tell me about your values. I want you to tell me about something about you. So this man really spent some time kind of coaching him through this interview. And when he finally kind of got to a place, and Mr. Miller said, you know, I'm gonna tell you something. He said, I know you need a job, and you're qualified, and I could give you a job, but I'm not going to give you a job. The young man just felt trounced. It was like it's happening again. I'm a stutterer, so I'm not getting another job. He said, don't get me wrong. I think you're a great young man. But I'm going to tell you something. I don't know why this, but I know this is not the place for you. This is not where you need to be. He said, but I'm going to do something for you. He said, I'm going to give you something. And he said, I hope you'll take it and look at it later. Maybe think on it. Read it tomorrow. He said, it has helped me, and I hope it helps you. He ripped off a pad and he wrote something on it. The young man took it, jammed it in his pocket, went home, pretty dejected to say the least. And he really felt like it was the last straw. He thought, what's going to happen with my life? I mean, this deep fear began to creep in. This isn't a little circumstantial thing. This is my life. This is not a joke. I cannot get a job. I can't quit stuttering, and I can't get a job. What is going to happen with me? Well, he ate supper, and when he was going to bed, he was getting all his stuff out, and there's this crumpled up piece of paper. And he got it out and read it. And this is what Mr. Miller had written. And some of you know this by heart. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Well, the young man said he read the prayer several times, and this amazing thing happened. He relaxed and went to sleep. He slept all night. And when he said when he woke up, he had this clarity kind of. He was thinking better about his life. He still felt bad, but he didn't feel as dejected. And when he thought about his life, he said, what do I want to do? I've had a good career in the Army. I'm a good young man. I'm not a bad guy. I work hard. What do I need to be doing? And something drew back to his childhood. And he remembered that he loved being in church. And he loved singing in church. And you know, when he sang, he did not stutter. Ever. And he liked writing music. So he decided he would go to Nashville. And he packed and moved to Nashville. Cold. Said, I don't have any money anyway. I'm going to get started. And he started knocking on doors and having auditions. And he missed the first 20 in a row. And then Minnie Pearl hired him. And he did good. He stayed with her for a long time as a backup artist and singer. He can sing wonderfully and wrote music. And then Glenn Campbell heard him and stole him away and realized this guy is not only a great musician and singer, he is drop dead funny. He's a comedian. You know who it is, don't you? It's Mel Tillis. It's his story. And so they play riffs, and in between Glenn Campbell would turn around and say, start talking, and the audience would go wild, laughing about him because he was so wonderful. And then go right back to music. Ended up having a fabulous career. Mel Tillis always said, every day, without fail, he said that prayer. Every day. That is a picture of love. You know Psalm 85? If you don't, pick it up and take a look at it. It is describing God trying to tell us how love works, how his love functions, kind of. It says this, love and truth have met each other. Right living and peace have been joined together. Stay with that a second. Love and truth have met each other. Right living and peace have been joined together. On this day, I'm reminded that mothers usually are the ones who help us set that pattern. It's a pattern of living. But more importantly, it is a pattern of growing. Because if you're not growing, you know what? You're dying. There is a time for that, but there's only one time for that. The rest of life is about growth. Every minute, every day, everywhere, it is about growing. You know, Emerson said a great thing once. He said, it is not really the things that lie behind us, stuff in our past. It's not really all that stuff that is ahead of us, the stuff that causes you and I anxiety. He said, it is that stuff that lies within us that matters most. It is what is inside us that matters most. And you see, love, really good nurturing love, that is both tender and tough, is what helps us find out what is inside of us. And then we can face truth and reality. We can overcome almost anything that we must face. Well, pick up the phone. If your mom is still alive, call her and thank her. If she is not, offer a prayer today for what she gave you. Think of those persons who have offered you that tender and tough love throughout your life. Held you, but also held you to account because they loved you. Hold on to those people. Hold on to those people. Amen.